Have you ever caught yourself unlocking your phone without even realizing why? You weren't expecting a call, you didn't need to check a message, yet there you were, scrolling again. Or maybe you've had one of those days where you sit down to work, but instead of starting, you just click YouTube, check Instagram, or refresh your inbox. Suddenly an hour disappears. Sound familiar? If yes, you're not alone. And there's a reason behind it. It all comes down to a little chemical in your brain called dopamine. And in today's video, we're diving deep into Thibaut Meurisse's powerful book, Dopamine Detox, a short guide to remove distractions and get your brain to do hard things. This isn't just about quitting social media or avoiding Netflix binges. It's about understanding how dopamine works, why modern life keeps us hooked on cheap pleasures, and how we can take back control of our focus, our productivity, and ultimately, our happiness. So grab a cup of tea, silence those notifications for a while, and let's explore how a dopamine detox can change your life. Before we dive into the actual detox, let's take a step back and understand something very important: dopamine. Now, you've probably heard people call dopamine the pleasure chemical. It's in news articles, Instagram posts, even in self-help memes. But here's the thing, this is only half true. Dopamine is not really about pleasure, it's about motivation. Think of dopamine as your brain's personal messenger. Whenever your brain releases dopamine, it's basically tapping you on the shoulder and saying, "Hey, pay attention. That looks exciting. Go chase it." It's not the feeling of happiness itself. It's the urge to do something. Let's put this into a real-life example. Imagine you're sitting in a cafe and someone places a big slice of chocolate cake on the table. The moment you see it, before you even take a bite, your brain fires up a wave of dopamine. That's what creates the sudden craving, that little spark inside that says, "I need that right now." But here's the interesting part. Dopamine isn't what makes you enjoy the cake. The actual enjoyment, the sweet, rich taste melting in your mouth, that comes from other chemicals like serotonin and endorphins. Dopamine is just the push that gets you to reach for the fork. This is a major misunderstanding most people have. We think dopamine equals pleasure, but in reality, it's the anticipation of the reward, not the reward itself. Thibaut Meurisse, the author of Dopamine Detox, explains this in a really clear way. He says our brain has what he calls a seeking system. This system evolved thousands of years ago to keep us alive. Imagine you were living as a hunter-gatherer. You needed to feel motivated to search for food, water, shelter, and opportunities to survive. Dopamine would kick in and tell your brain, "Keep looking, keep seeking, you might find something valuable." In the past, this system worked beautifully. It was the reason we hunted, explored, and invented. But today, in our modern world, that same seeking system is getting hijacked. Why? Because unlike our ancestors, who had to walk miles just to find berries or build tools, we now live in an environment filled with endless, artificial sources of quick dopamine. Think about it. Every time you refresh Instagram and see a new like, that's dopamine. Every time Netflix autoplays the next episode, that's dopamine. Every time TikTok gives you another short, funny clip in less than 10 seconds, that's dopamine. Even sugar-filled snacks, video games, and text notifications, all engineered to trigger those little dopamine spikes. And here's where things start to go wrong. Because the more we indulge in these quick hits, the more our brain starts expecting them. It's like training a dog. If you give it a treat every 30 seconds, it's going to start demanding treats constantly. Our brain works the same way. We condition it to expect nonstop stimulation. That's why sitting down to do something slow and meaningful, like reading a book, writing, studying, or even just having a quiet conversation, feels so much harder. Your brain isn't broken. It's just been trained to crave fast, easy rewards instead of deep, lasting ones. Let me ask you this. Have you ever noticed that you can scroll TikTok or Instagram for an hour without even realizing it? But when you open a serious book, suddenly your mind drifts after just 2 pages? That's dopamine in action. Meurisse calls this the dopamine trap. The trap works like this. You chase one small dopamine hit. Your brain enjoys the anticipation. The reward feels good for a moment, but then it fades. Now your brain craves another hit, so you go back for more. And on it goes. You get stuck in a loop of short-term rewards that feel satisfying in the moment, but leave you empty afterward. Like binge watching until 3 a.m. You're entertained, sure, but deep down, you don't feel fulfilled. And here's the scary part. Just like with any drug, the more dopamine spikes you get, the more your brain builds tolerance. That means the same things that used to excite you don't excite you as much anymore. So you start needing more stimulation just to feel the same effect. One notification isn't enough. You need 10. One YouTube video isn't enough. you watch 5. One piece of cake isn't enough, you want 3. This is the cycle that so many of us are trapped in without even realizing it. And this is exactly why Meurisse says a dopamine detox is so important. Because if we don't take back control, our brain becomes wired to always look for the easiest, fastest source of stimulation, while ignoring the deeper, more meaningful work that actually brings long-term happiness and success. So before we jump into the actual detox strategies, let's pause here and really take this in. Dopamine isn't your enemy. It's not bad. In fact, it's one of the most important chemicals for growth, motivation, and achievement. But when it's constantly hijacked by cheap rewards, it leads us straight into distraction, procrastination, and even addiction. That's the heart of the problem, and that's where the detox comes in. Imagine this. You sit down to work on something important. Maybe it's a project, maybe it's studying, maybe it's writing. At first, you feel motivated, but then your brain starts craving a little hit of dopamine. And suddenly, your ability to focus weakens. This is what Meurisse calls the dopamine trap, the cycle where your brain becomes addicted to instant rewards, making hard, meaningful tasks feel unbearable. He gives the example of social media. Every time you open it, you don't know what you'll find. Maybe a funny meme, maybe a new message, maybe nothing. This unpredictability actually makes the dopamine release even stronger. It's the same principle slot machines use in casinos. The result? We become like lab rats pressing a lever for pellets, except our pellets are notifications, likes, and quick videos. And over time, this damages us in 2 ways. We lose patience for delayed gratification. We struggle with boredom, which is actually where deep focus and creativity come from. So the question is, how do we break free? Now here's where Meurisse introduces the concept of the dopamine detox. The phrase sounds extreme, right? Like you're removing all dopamine from your brain. But don't worry, that's not possible, and it's not the goal. Dopamine is essential. Without it, you wouldn't get out of bed in the morning. A dopamine detox isn't about eliminating dopamine. It's about resetting your brain's relationship with it. Think of it like this. If your taste buds are used to super sweet desserts, even an apple will taste bland. But if you cut sugar for a while, suddenly an apple tastes delicious again. No social media, no video games, no junk food, no binge watching, no unnecessary internet browsing. Instead, you focus on low-stimulation activities like reading a physical book, journaling, going for a walk, meditating, doing nothing at all. And here's the hard part. It will feel uncomfortable at first. You'll be restless, bored, even anxious. Why? Because your brain is craving its usual hits. But that's the point. Sitting with that discomfort allows your brain to recalibrate. You're teaching it, hey, it's okay not to be entertained every second. Over time, this resets your reward system. Suddenly, things that felt boring, like working on a project or simply being present, start to feel satisfying again. One of my favorite insights from the book is Meurisse's discussion of boredom. We usually see boredom as a problem. We grab our phones the moment we feel it, but boredom is actually a gift. Think about it. Boredom is your brain telling you there's nothing stimulating here. Maybe you should create something. That's why so many great ideas come when you're showering, walking, or just staring out a window. Those moments of quiet let your brain connect dots in new ways. Meurisse encourages us to embrace boredom during a detox. Instead of filling every gap with stimulation, allow your mind to wander. That's where creativity lives. Another key idea from the book is that detoxing from dopamine strengthens your willpower. Every time you resist the urge to check your phone, you're training your self-control like a muscle. At first, it's weak, but with practice, it grows. Meurisse compares willpower to a battery. Every distraction drains it, but every time you stay focused, you recharge it. And here's the beautiful part. Once you've reset your brain, hard things stop feeling so hard. Writing that essay, studying that chapter, going to the gym, it doesn't feel impossible anymore. It feels natural. That's the real magic of dopamine detoxing. It's not about giving things up forever. It's about giving yourself the power to choose what truly matters. Let's summarize some of the practical advice Meurisse gives for doing a dopamine detox. Start small. Don't try a full week at first. Begin with just a few hours of no stimulation time. Plan ahead. Decide in advance what activities you'll do instead, like reading, walking, or journaling. Embrace discomfort. Expect restlessness. See it as a sign your brain is rewiring. Reflect afterwards. Notice how you feel after the detox. Most people report more clarity, calm, and focus. Make it regular. Instead of one time, try scheduling mini detoxes weekly. Over time, it transforms your habits. At the heart of dopamine, detox Detox is a simple but powerful truth. We live in an age where cheap pleasures are everywhere, and while they're not bad in themselves, they can rob us of our ability to do meaningful work and enjoy simple things. By resetting our relationship with dopamine, we reclaim control. We choose creation over consumption, focus over distraction, meaning over mindless scrolling. And that, Meurisse argues, is the path to real fulfillment. So what's the real gift of a dopamine detox? It's not about living like a monk, cutting yourself off from every pleasure. It's about balance. It's about remembering that your brain wasn't designed for constant stimulation, that true joy often comes from the slow, the simple, the challenging. When you allow your mind to reset, you rediscover the pleasure of reading a book, the satisfaction of finishing a project, the beauty of a quiet walk. So here's my challenge to you. Pick a small dopamine detox for yourself this week. Maybe just one evening with no phone, no TV, no internet. See how it feels. Notice what comes up. You might be surprised by the clarity and calm you experience. And now I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. What's one distraction you'd like to detox from? If you found this summary helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who could use a little clarity in their life. Because at the end of the day, dopamine detox isn't about restriction. It's about freedom, the freedom to focus, to create, and to live with intention.